And I don't know if there's one piece of advice you could make for anybody doing cold calling, because I hate it.
I would cold call all day. A couple years ago, I was really curious about the marketplace and just, what are people experiencing out there? And so I cold called all day one day, and I was like, this is so much fun.
Welcome to the Gearheads and Gasoline podcast, where we dive into the high-octane world of market-leading shop owners, shop employees, and automotive enthusiasts from the aftermarket, restoration, performance, and racing industries. So strap in as we take you on an awesome journey with our guests as they share their real-life stories, lessons learned, business advice, and unfiltered insights to help you beat the school of hard knocks. Gearheads and Gasoline, fueling your success.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Gearheads and Gasoline podcast, powered by Redline Oil and AMD. I'm Barry Alt with Motorhead Digital, and my co-host is Annette Bauer with the Annette Bauer Creative. We're super excited to welcome Melanie Hellwig White, the CEO of Hellwig Products Company and the current chair of the SEMA Board of Directors, to the Gearheads and Gasoline podcast.
Yay!
So awesome. I'm excited
Melanie.
to be here.
Happy that you got up at 6:30 in the morning Pacific to join us.
Me
today.
too.
We learned before we started the podcast that Annette doesn't have her coffee today, so if she falls asleep on us, we will just edit that part.
I got water, so we're okay, but not as good as coffee.
Yep.
So,
Well,
Melanie,
we're excited that you're here, Melanie. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day. We know that you are a busy gal. You have a lot going on, and you have a lot going on this year. So thank you so much for taking some time to chat with us and let us learn a little bit more about you.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
as such, yes, please. We're so excited. Like when I saw it come across that we were going to have you on as a guest, I was like, "Oh, so cool." I loved seeing you and hearing your speech at the summit, and that was really cool, and I'm super glad to have you come in as chair, and so I think it's going to be a really exciting year for SEMA.
I think so too. I think it's going to be really exciting, also really fun, and also a lot of work. There is a lot that is happening in our industry, so I'm excited to tackle it. There's a great team at SEMA to be able to do that, and I have a great team here at Hellwig too to be able to support me spending a little more time over there as well. So yeah, this year is going to be really exciting. It's a 2-year commitment, and so it kicked off in July. So the next couple years, I feel like I'm ready to just hold on and try to keep up.
That's awesome.
And
We think that you're going to do amazing. So super happy to have you in your positions and super happy to kick this off. So
Yeah.
we start every podcast with a little bit of a different question, and that is, what is your favorite drink?
I mean, coffee is has been a love of my life for a long time. So coffee, but I don't know that I've met a drink I don't like is the problem. I don't normally drink soda, but I kind of drink everything else. So, and yeah. And my favorite cocktail, and one I love to order, I don't order it a lot, is an old fashioned.
she must be listening to the podcast, because that's one of my. They made really good ones at
Better
the
put it
hotel in California in July.
They
We were all
did.
out there,
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I've had some in the Midwest though, where they do a lot of the extra cherry syrup, and that's a very different old fashioned. So
Yeah.
I've learned I need to ask for it a little bit differently there.
Nice. Love it.
That's and then we have to go back and take a tally of how many times old fashioned has come up versus coffee or milk.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been very, very popular for sure.
Yeah. We I'm a Maker's 46 guy, so I try to order Maker's 46. I like that, or Buffalo Trace. But anyways, Melanie, Hellwig Products is a manufacturer of suspension products and everything, and based on your middle name, Hellwig, I'm assuming you born into the business, and just curious, a lot of people born into the business don't necessarily go, nah, I'm not doing that.
Mhm.
Was that you, or you're like all in and I really got into it?
So that's a great question, Barry, because that was not my path. My family did not encourage anyone to really get into the business. So I think that was a great gift of my parents to not say, we need you to come work in the family business. And so I went to college. I I had all of these different dreams, right? My kid is about to go to college, and I'm like, oh my gosh, if you do the amount of career, like different changes I did, it's going to be real expensive because college is very different than when I was there 30 years ago. So I I went to school. I actually ended up with a degree in psychology. And I was managing right after college, I was managing a French gourmet bakery. And I knew I didn't want to do the food business. But I had someone that called on us in a sales position. And, she just stopped in every week. She made sure we had our order. And I thought, that's what I want to do. I really loved, that aspect of helping people. And, she was just such a key part of our success at that bakery. And I thought, I want to do that. And the a sales position came up in Hellwig about the same time that I was deciding to change. So
Mhm.
I was going to go in though for more schooling in marriage and family therapy. And I'm so glad I didn't do that because this is way more fun here in this space. So I started in sales. So I was cold calling. I was, doing uh, just I was seeing some of our customers, but ones that we didn't see very often. I lived in Northern California. We are in Central California here, where we manufacture. And that's how I got started. So cold calling, man, if I just felt like I got my teeth kicked in every day. So in a way, that was a really good way to start for me because it really taught me a few key things that I still, uh, carry today, which is be prepared, don't let things bug you. I have to, have thicker skin. And then just be really passionate about what you're doing. And also realize that I'm there to help them. If my product isn't a good fit for them, that's fine. It's just, can my product help them in some way? And so those things I still think about today, and approach my customers that way. But it also it built resilience in me doing the cold calling. And then so I
Mhm.
started doing that, and then I realized in the sales position that Hellwig really needed more marketing. So then I spent most of my career until I became CEO in that sales and marketing world, but really marketing because I realized Hellwig needed a lot more attention than it was getting at the time. And so I started playing with a lot of different ideas. Just trying to get Hellwig more out in the forefront.
I want to ask you a question about sales because I've been in business for 28 years on my own business, and I used to say I hate sales, right? And I met a
Mhm.
guy that was a sales guy, and I really enjoy sales now. I still can't get into the cold calling bit, and I don't know if there's one piece of advice you could make for anybody doing cold calling because I hate it.
Yeah. So, okay. So right now I would cold call all day. I've done like a couple years ago, I was really curious about the marketplace and just, what are people experiencing out there? And so I cold called all day one day and I was like, this is so much fun because I was more confident in what I was doing. I also there wasn't anything to lose, right? In the
Right.
beginning too was so I felt like it all had to do with me. It wasn't that I didn't like it. It was just that was my attitude about this. And I knew I'm just going to go out there and have fun today. I'm just going to go out there and be curious. And so that actually was fun. But I'm with you, Barry. When you have the connotation of cold calling is it
Yep.
feels really slimy, creepy. But if when I approached it from a really fun, curious aspect, it was way more uh, enjoyable.
The Gearheads and Gasoline podcast is proudly sponsored by Redline Synthetic Oil. With a legacy of excellence and over 100 premium products, Redline provides motor oils, gear oils, assembly lubes, fuel additives, and water wetter for the automotive, racing, motorcycle, marine, and industrial markets. Known for their exceptional quality and technical expertise, Redline is trusted by enthusiasts and professionals alike. Discover their full range of products and expert support at redlineoil.com.
Redline Oil, formulated to win, proven by me.
Redline Oil, formulated to win.
Formulated to win.
Formulated to win, proven by me.
Formulated to win, proven by me.
Proven by me.
Proven by me.
Redline Oil, formulated to win, proven by me.
As far as Hellwig and their legacy, how do you carry that on through what you're doing and improving? And, obviously everybody's always improving. There's
Yep.
always improvement, right? But you want to keep that legacy of 1946? I think I read.
1946. Yep.
Yeah.
So next year we will turn 80 years old. Yeah,
Wow.
8 decades.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So I think it's a mix because the legacy is something that's really important. We've been doing this for 80 years. We know what we're doing. And also you can kind of get stuck in legacy and not think about what's the future. And so I was really big on supporting the legacy, and now I'm really big on having a mix of it. So legacy, but also like we're here for the long run. Like we're just getting started. I want to continue that legacy. So, so it's now like up to me, right? This is now my legacy time, and also leaning on what happened and the strength of our past.
Are you getting more
What
into
a powerful
more-
time. Sorry, Barry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, does that mean more R&D and stuff on newer vehicles and things like that, and figuring out what works, what doesn't, and new products?
Yeah. I mean, definitely we're doing that. I've spent a lot of time. So we've had a lot of demand, which is amazing. And also things have to change a little bit. So I've spent a lot of time here in operations and how do we make that smoother and a better customer experience. And so, as a sales and marketing, great, right? We will always want to create demand. And we did that. I helped do that. And then now it's, we have this demand that we really need to come through for. So I've had to definitely put a different hat on here lately. And that is just, it's just firming up everything in that experience and those touch points that we have with Hellwig.
That's awesome. I was going to say that what a powerful time for you to be in this position. Like you said, kind of balancing that legacy with what the future holds and where the growth is, both not just for Hellwig, but for SEMA, right? Like having that position of being and that foresight of saying like, I know I want to honor the legacy, but I don't want to make it entirely about the legacy, right? Because just as we're experiencing within the automotive space, we need to look to the future and how that growth is going to be. And so taking lessons from history and trying to reapply the successful ones to what we're doing in the future and rework our errors or things that maybe didn't work out so great to be better for a future and to see that future growth. I think that that's an incredible time for you.
Yeah. And it's interesting. There are so many with Hellwig and with SEMA, there's so many parallels, and that is definitely one of them. And I think the beautiful thing about being the chair of SEMA is that it's only a 2-year stint. So there's a lot of great people that made decisions and wanted to make an impact and were very motivated to do that put us in this position for success. We survived a pandemic, our show shutting down for a year, and we're strong and healthy, and our industry is strong and healthy. And I don't know that we would be in that position if we didn't have all of these people who came in to make sure we had this really healthy organization, and we're motivated by that. So I think that's, as I look at that, I think about myself being, what am I going to do that someone 10 years, 20 years down the road is going to be, thank God they did that one thing, because we're using that to step forward right now. Right. And that I think in the business with SEMA, it's much more of a long play, Where in my
Mhm.
business, it's a long play and a short play, but there's, you know, but that's what's in my mind because I got the opportunity to talk to a lot of chairs before I took this position and
Yeah.
talking to them about what they saw, what they actually did. And so some of the things, that really helped us survive this pandemic that just happened were things that someone did 20 years ago that didn't
Yeah.
realize that this was going to have the effect that it did. And so I think that's the magic in it, right? Is that we're not going to know the impact, but sure as heck we're going to work to do whatever we can.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Taking all that, right? You take legacy, you worked in sales, marketing, you're working in operations, now looking at all that. How do you keep a brand fresh for 80 years and all the changes and actually, a company dealing with, besides SEMA, company dealing with COVID and pandemic and all that and moving forward I mean, I think we're out of that. I understand our numbers for SEMA Show and everything are back up to or close to pre-pandemic levels, which is amazing.
Mhm.
How do you deal with that as a company and keep that brand fresh?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I think that's always a balance though, right? Is trying to figure out how to do that. And it's watching market trends. It's for me, I used to be the young one here. And so watching those trends, I'm not the one that's keeping an eye on the trends happening. Just in, social media and marketing, like things are happening so fast there that I do have a great team that I lean on for that. But I knew the basics of it, right? I think
Right.
that's the thing with what I'm doing is that I have at least a foundation to have some understanding and ask the right questions and make sure that we're doing things to stay fresh. And that's the challenge is to make sure that you're fresh, you're interesting, you're s- you're not boring people or uh and a big thing about Hellwig though is that we've always wanted to be a source of education. And so just making sure that we're continuing to put some resources to that as well. That's some stuff that we're going to do in this next year is really be a share more education with folks. And we're really big in the tow and haul world. And so while our suspension makes a world of difference, when people put it on, they say it's a night and day difference. What we realize though is that we need to someone who's new in the towing world might know about our suspension, but they don't know how to back up a trailer or, pack for a trip. Like, what do you look for when you do that? And we have all of these resources. We have there's 4 generations in this in my family who have RV'd. And so we have these tools at our fingertips and we can really be helpful. And I think that's what, we wake up every day super excited to, build suspension to help people, but it's more than that, right? We want to be a community and build a community that can be helpful for people.
That's awesome. And as a marketing guy and we do a lot of SEO and AI has been a big thing. I will tell you that's the direction you should head. Build a blog, put a lot of content out there that is educational and shows the expertise of Huawei, because that's what Google's looking for. That's what AI is. People are asking those questions. How do teach me how to back up a trailer or give me some advice or something like that, or what suspension to use for what or whatever, right? So I believe as a marketer, you're heading an awesome direction besides, helping people to help the business too, show up better in search and AI and everything else that's going on right
Man, I
now.
sure think that there is like definitely a value for having content out there that, pardon me saying this, that can teach people how to back up a trailer, whether it's an RV or an enclosed trailer or a flatbed or whatever it might be, because I drive a truck, that's my daily, and I see people all the time. Like my husband taught me how to tow our enclosed trailer. It's a 28-foot enclosed trailer when we first got together, which was 14, 15 years ago. And at the time I was like, man, this is really intimidating. But once I learned what like the process is, I was like, oh, this is easy. And then I watch people now, like guys and girls do it. And I'm like, oh, do you want me to do that for you? Like, that looks like you're really struggling.
Well,
I know.
yeah.
Yeah.
I learned too from somebody taught me, and you gotta. It is intimidating, and you're like freaking out, and you don't understand the what is it?
The direction.
The direction and the geometry of things is sometimes it's the opposite of what you think, right?
Yep.
I worked in a warehouse. I ran a warehouse for years, and there were over the road truckers that couldn't back up their trailer. It's like, to me, it should be a requirement. If you're hauling a 80,000 pound rig, you should be able to know how to do everything in it, right?
Really well. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Really well. Yes.
Yeah. We had our only negative Google review is a trucker who needed to pull into our spot here and couldn't back up. And
really?
Yes, that is our negative Google review. And we've reached out to him and been like, hey, like that's not a review of like what we do here. But he didn't want to take it down. So
Google won't take it down either, even if you ask him, which drives me nuts.
Yeah.
There was a couple times where
you should just send him the link.
Yeah, I should. That's a great point.
Link.
Yeah. Say, oh, you might need this. We can help here.
Right. For future reference.
Yes.
I had a couple truck drivers. They literally had to back straight in, and they came up could go back straight in. There's a couple times I says, I don't drive truck every day, but I'm sure I can back your truck in to our dock. Would you like me to do that? Because it was just driving us nuts. Take half an hour to back a truck in the street. Like, really?
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm going to ask a question about female in high positions. I would like to know, as the first female CEO of Hellwig, how did that work? How did you feel about that? How did your team feel about it? How were you accepted? Annette and I are very pro women in business, women in racing, women everywhere, right? Along with our youth engagement stuff. But I'm just curious how that worked, how it was, all the, with a legacy company like that, right? Suddenly we have a female CEO. And so I'm curious how that was accepted.
Yeah, so that is a great question. And it was a journey, that's for sure. I knew I wanted, once I got in the business and I fell in love with the industry, and I've been doing this for a long time, I knew I wanted to carry the legacy on. And there's no one in my generation that is interested in it, in running Hellwig products. So, that was somewhat convenient for me, that no one else, I wasn't fighting other siblings or cousins or anything like that here. And I knew, though, I needed to be the best at that and really work to be the one that had the vision, had the work ethic. I couldn't just have this position as, next generation. I didn't want to come in with that, because there is a lot, not just women, but there is a lot in the generational businesses that, oh, you just got it because daddy, right?
Right.
And that I did not like, it gives me creeps. I hate that. And so I worked really hard, and I get it. Some people still probably think that. And yeah, I had way more opportunity because I am a part of the family. And I definitely wanted the credit of, I got this position for a reason. And, that has, over time been something that I have gained people's trust and loyalty because of that. But I have spent a lot of time coming in at 5:00. My team starts at 5:00 here. It gets hot in the summers. And then because their hours are from 5 to 1:30, they can pick their kids up. So it's a really nice balance for them and their families. But it's hard for me, right, to be here every day at 5, because if I get here at 5, I'm also staying until 5, because there's this, I have meetings in the afternoons and things like that. So I was here, I showed up at 5 with the team for a really long time to be able to get that. But it wasn't just that, it was like those were my actions in getting that that loyalty, that really respect from the team. And so I knew I needed to get that. I wasn't going to just get it, naturally. There's something about I'm going to probably butcher it, but like power versus force, right? And like I wasn't going to force people to respect me. I was going to earn it. And I have earned it. And that feels really good. That it came from, my commitment, but my commitment to my team here is how I earned it.
Hey guys, you're watching the Gearheads and Gasoline podcast. I'm Jason with AMD. Check this out.
Right. You went into it like, I'm going to work hard, I'm going to learn and grow and earn that respect, right? And I'm sure there's some stress that went along with that, for sure.
Yeah,
but
growing pains for sure. And one of the best advice I got early in my career, and this had to do with something else, but I show up at shows, and Annette, you might get this too, where I'm at a show and the person next to me is a male, and a customer comes in, asks him the question. I answer the question. The customer then goes back to the male next to me and, then asks the question again. And it's like this weird triangle that happens where they don't really see me as the source of information. I need that that male counterpart to just be there to represent that. And that happened a lot. So, and definitely early, but early I also didn't know as much as I do now, and didn't have the confidence I do now. But I was telling someone I was working with, an older gentleman, I said that, I get dismissed. Oh, they're probably, it's because I'm a woman. And he immediately dead stop was like, you need to stop that. You should not have that in your head that it's because you're a woman. The most likely reason that they're not giving you respect is your youth. So you need to change your attitude about that. And so it's interesting, Barry, you say being a woman, first CEO of Hellwig. I actually don't think about it that often. I think, how can I be the best CEO of Hellwig? Not first woman. Sure, in marketing, the one thing is about being a female is I'm different in this industry. There's not a lot of people, and definitely in higher positions, there's not a lot of women in these positions. So I can, use that to kind of help put Hellwig on a bigger stage in some ways. And so I'm okay with using it to help Hellwig, but I don't let it, be any sort of hindrance in my own mindset that people will hold me back. So I want to be the most prepared. I want to, show up in the rooms confident, ready to have those, have any conversation.
Yeah. And the main reason I asked that question is for listeners and young ladies in the industry and things like that, even men, to try to think differently about how to hear from you that've been through that and learn they need to have a different mindset on things. Right. I know that we've talked at shows and stuff like that, and you're 5 something, I'm 6'3", so you're small stature too. So if you have a big guy with you too, that there's a lot of different
there's a lot at play. Yeah, there's a lot at play. And also I used to get really kind of my feelings hurt when someone would come in and say, who's this, would start talking to my sales guy and say, think he was the CEO and I was working for him. Right. And I just realized this isn't very common. So that it's fine. We're going to have to correct them every once in a while, because you're right. I'm 5'6". I'm somewhat petite. I can hide pretty easily.
Well, it's funny that you
6 foot.
Right. It's funny that you say that because in going back to that triangle of communication, right? Because it isn't always, I do 100% agree that we get that because you're a woman. We get that because of your youth, but we also get it, like I've had more of it of an intimidation factor. Like guys typically don't feel comfortable talking to me, especially if they know like who I am and in the sense of like how long I've been in the industry, the things that I do, because I really work more on the performance side of things. And when they know that I've worked on race cars, they know that I've raced cars, all these things, like sometimes they're just flat out intimidated to ask a question because as a guy, they feel like they're not like that demasculates them to have to ask a woman how to do something or why it's done. And so it does take a very unique person in some situations to get through that, right? And not feel weird about it and feel comfortable and confident asking a woman. So I 100% experience all of what you just said, less the CEO part of a major corporation.
Yeah, thanks for that. That's great. Hopefully, some listeners will learn from that. As far as SEMA goes, what is shaped? How has SEMA shaped how you see the industry's future, as far as just as a whole, right?
So I started volunteering for SEMA. I've been volunteering for SEMA almost as long as I've been in the industry. So I started volunteering for SEMA a year after I got into the business. So I had read in SEMA News a article with Ann Johnson, who owned a retail store in Stockton, California, and she sold our products. So I called on her, and I was totally a fangirl. I was so interested in what she was doing, in how she was so involved in the industry, and I asked. Well, she actually recommended that we become mentor and mentee. So there was a formal program during that time through SEMA Business Women's Network, and she took me under her wing. And I mean, took me under her wing, and like she let me come to. She would have a board meeting. There were other industry events, and she would let me stay with her. So not only did I get to, get a front row seat to her, but I got to see her habits. So we would have a drink at the bar. We wouldn't be the latest ones out. She would be up reading the paper and reading things, because she was served on the board at the time. So she would be reading all of the board material. So I got to see not only did she take me under her wing, but I got to see her habits, which were really helpful during that time. So that helped really shape me. Then I started volunteering through the light truck side. So it was called LTAA at the time, and now it's TORA, so truck and off-road group there. So I really loved, I started volunteering, became the chair of that group. So I had this opportunity to continue to, be a volunteer for SEMA. So my experience with SEMA has always been on the volunteer side. But what I've loved about that is that we can all take our company hat off, and we're all there for the industry. How does this help the industry? And so my whole career, I've been able to, flip between hats, right? That a Hellwig hat, and then also like, how do we support the industry hat? And I think that's what has shaped me, because we can do freaking amazing things if we're working together. And the things that we've accomplished through SEMA is really amazing. And SEMA started with this goal. The reason why SEMA started was a group of manufacturers couldn't, they were getting in, it was in California where they started, but there was a lot of legislation that was coming in and affecting their businesses. So they came in and they fought against those, the government agencies, and that's how we got started. So I think that's really like that legacy has continued on and has been really cool to see, and be a part of too. And that's really one of my biggest goals here, within SEMA is government advocacy. And I think what we can do together is really amazing. The DC rally, Barry, I believe you were at that, or you attended a
I went
rally
to Albany.
recently.
I went to local Albany, New York
Yeah.
rally, and I'm planning to go to DC next year. That's on my bucket list for sure. And Karen
Awesome.
has been amazing, and the
Amazing.
whole SEMA Action
Yeah.
Committee actually got involved in that on the influencer side. Not that I consider myself an influencer, but Lauren and those people over there are doing some pretty cool stuff. So we try to support that as well.
Yeah. And I think that's what's so important, right? People need to know that we can influence what happens in DC. And I thought, my first time going to DC, I went with Ann Johnson really early in my career. So it was probably 19 years ago that I went to my first DC rally. And I was so inspired because lawmakers really talked to us. They were curious about what was happening. And it really got me excited about what we could be doing as a collective group and influencing what happens. And I mean, our industry supports the economy, the US economy, in the billions. It's really cool. And we need to fight for that to continue to have that option for everyone.
Yeah. When we went to Albany, Cora from SBN is in in one of my districts. So we were both down there. And what I thought was cool, Christensen handed out sheets for our district and had numbers for our district as far as, revenue, jobs, things like that. And I'm like, I didn't even know we had this data. So that is really cool. And I think one of the biggest things as far as SEMA goes that I think, and everybody knows this within the organization, I think, but there's so many people, even in the automotive space, restoration shops, a lot of people just think, oh, it's the SEMA show. There's so much more than that to it. And even I've learned a lot, right, being on council and stuff. For those listening, for me, the two biggest things are every year is a SEMA show, obviously, but we do LRPs, long range planning, with our councils, and that's on SBN. Every 2 years, we go out to California and we bring everybody together. And it's really, this year was amazing. I met so many people on other councils and learned a lot. It was really good to just meet other people on other councils and learn what's going on. And we got a lot accomplished.
Yeah. That is one of my favorite events for sure. And just that collective energy.
Yeah, Barry's a veteran when it comes to going to the summit. This year was my first, and like I expressed to all of the ladies on my SBN group, and then several of the individuals that I met that I had never had an opportunity to speak with, it was just so cool. We spend that really great time in our individual LRPs, and we get a lot accomplished in our groups. But it's really nice for, I'm a big picture person, so it was really nice for me to go to the summit and hear everybody else's pain points and understand, as a company that contributes to our industry, how can I either change that perception? How can I influence that perception? Or how can I make an impact myself to help other companies, right? I'm a service company, just the same as Barry does. But it was really nice to hear everybody's opinion and get everybody's feedback on what is or isn't working, because although we're all in the same industry, we all have a love for the same industry. All of our issues are a little bit different. And if we can all work together, then we can continue to overcome those successfully and help one another.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, that's why we do it, right? That's why we all come together. So I love that.
Melanie, with the SEMA, discussing SEMA, what would you like more companies to understand about promoting the aftermarket? And when I say companies, I mean manufacturers, restoration shop, build shops, performance shops, services like Annette and myself.
So and how they represent in the market, outside of sort of the SEMA world, is that where?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, right. Because a lot of times they're so busy. Everybody's busy focus on their one little space, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many businesses that we'd love to have everybody join SEMA and join councils, but not everybody either understands it or can't afford it or just doesn't have the time. But they still, because they work in the automotive aftermarket, I feel that they should do what they can to advocate for the market, right? The aftermarket and things like that.
Yeah. So I think one of the biggest things, I mean, I'm big on government advocacy. So one of the biggest things I think is really joining the SAN, the SEMA Action Network, is really helpful. I mean, they'll send out text messages. I got one just the other day about supporting something, and that, it's super easy to be a part of. You just, they write the letter for you. You just have to send it in, and it's like a couple clicks. I think those are some of the easy ways that we can, work together if you don't have the time to join a council, join a network. But those are easy ways is to support the industry overall.
Yeah, I
And I
think
think
that the text was about, I believe it was the Warrior Right to Repair. That's a big thing going on right now. And we're a big supporter of that. Um, I think businesses, if they don't understand, SEMA is not just the show. Everything that we're doing outside that is to support them, right?
Yeah.
To support
we
them,
see,
to push back on regulations that hurt business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or help
and we
business.
see a big push right now, which I'm super excited to see. Like Barry and I have talked about this with other guests in the past, is that, like historically, when somebody either went to the show or they had aspirations to go to the show or they had a build that was for the show, whatever that might be, the only way that they had to tag SEMA was at SEMA Show, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but now like we see SEMA going through this kind of, for lack of a better term, a mini rebrand to say like, hey, we're not just a show, right? Like we have so many more things. Like there's education opportunities, there's networking opportunities. Yes, there are some really great things that, we see builds and stuff like that, but you get a chance to talk to manufacturers and, all these businesses that really impact our industry. But it's this process because, as anybody in marketing knows, like doing a rebrand is not a quick and easy thing. It is a duration of time. It does take that repetitive marketing, and it does take other businesses within the industry to help advocate for that and to educate the public to say, hey, this is bigger than just a car show, right? And giving them that opportunity. So now we've done a lot too to open it up to the public, like and really kind of voice that, because I even still have people that are like, oh no, SEMA's not open to the public. And I'm like, no, you can, but you have a day, right? Like we have our days because it's a professional thing for us that we do, but you have a day that we want you to be there. We want you to participate in it, and we want you to get excited and advocate for it.
Today's podcast is sponsored by Annette Bauer Creative. At Annette Bauer Creative, we understand the power of visual storytelling in transforming brands and driving growth. From capturing the essence of your products and services to showcasing the unique solutions you offer, our professional imagery and reels help bring your brand to life. Fuel your brand and ignite your vision at AnnetteBauerCreative.com.
I saw a SEMA Fest ad on the TV the other day. I'm like, wait, I didn't know we were advertising SEMA Fest on advertising. That was cool. So getting more out to the public is what I'm, that's doing.
Yeah. 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 I think you said that so well. And I don't know, I found out, maybe it was a few years ago, but SEMA is the biggest gathering of small businesses that happens in the US. And so while it's a show, and it's a really stinking cool show, right? It is so cool. We only did business to business there until recently, unless you knew someone, and then you could somehow like get a badge to come in. But now you can go be legit, go buy your own badge, and come to the show on Friday. There's a really cool concert that happens at the end of that day too. So there's just this really cool excitement that ends the show week, and we're all there for consumers. So we're excited. We want you to come. If you are a car person, like we want you to have access to be able to see the cool things that we are doing. And yeah, we do protect business to business days there, because that's a really big part of what we do, and also, what SEMA provides. But we so we have that, but we also have SEMA Live, which SEMA Live was last year was the first year that we had that. We had 3 million views of SEMA Live. Like, that is really incredible that so many people, and a big thing for me too is youth engagement. Like, a lot of youth, you can't come to the show unless you're 16 or older. And a big thing though is this new next generation. We want them to get excited. We want them to want to come to the show. And I have a friend whose son is turning into this really big car guy. And I've been involved with SEMA for 20 years. It's, I feel like it's not like New Year's is my biggest, like start point. It's like SEMA's my start point to the year.
Right.
It launches everything. But he just recently found out that I am a really big part of SEMA, and he's like, what? Like, that is amazing. So I'm like a superstar to him now. But that's what we need. But he found out because there's all this content going out. Like you said, like, we need that branding, and we need people to be able to discover it. Right. So that is really important. So the fact that it's on a TV show, you're seeing something branded there, that is really amazing, because that's what we need to be out there in front of people to make sure that they know about us at SEMA. And we are really cool. So they should know about us.
Outside of, I said SEMA is not just a car show, but it's a industry event with one of the baddest ass car shows there is on the planet. That's all I was going to say. Go on.
No, you're right, 100%. But you also hit on something Melanie was saying, like, we all take this onus, right, to advocate for what it is. And again, not just labeling it a car show, right, but advocating for what it is, and really touching with individuals who have made a significant impact in our industry. And I'm going to just use this as a reference point because I saw this yesterday. And obviously, being a photographer and marketer within this space, this is somebody who not only I have looked up to, but I also widely respect, and that's Larry Chen. And he put out a post yesterday about all the stuff that we saw about some of the takeovers. And it wasn't so much about like him preaching, like the negatives of this or that, but really just helping to educate and help people understand the difference between, right? Because like as he had mentioned in his live or his post, was that we have everybody watching us, right? The government is watching us. Everybody is watching us, waiting for us to give them a reason to try to impose other laws that are going to hold back our industry. And so it is all up to us. And it's great that we have somebody like him and other influencers within our industry who can stand up and advocate and influence those younger generations to say, like, do this the right way and understand that we're all here for the same passion. But if we don't respect that passion, it can, as easily as we earned it, can be taken away from us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's really well said, because we do. And one of the things when you were asking your question earlier, Barry, on like, what should they do? Represent us well, right? If I see someone, and here I'm in the Central Valley of California, which is sort of like the Midwest, I feel like, of California, but I'll see someone who does is rolling coal in a 2025 diesel, and it drives me crazy because represent us well. Don't do that, because that hurts everyone. One, it's not great for the environment, right? But that just don't. We need to do this and do it well and do it within the guidelines. And there are reasons why we have, there's so many people here that live in California, and we have very strict rules about emissions, but there's a reason, right? And it is not so that you can go delete that and roll coal like that. It just drives me absolutely bananas. So that's the one thing that I think all of us as enthusiasts really need to do, is represent the industry well.
Yeah,
Mhm.
the whole deal in Pigeon Forge that happened, I've been following a lot of different channels with our Instagram, and one thing I saw different this time was a lot of industry people pushed back on that and said, "This is not normal. This is that we don't advocate for this. We oppose this. Come on, get your shit together. This is not good." There's a lot to that event that happened that made it worse. That was even outside the car community stuff. But I saw a lot of pushback this time that I hadn't seen before,
Mhm.
which I'm excited to see. Right? People are saying, no, stop. We're not part of
You know,
that.
the crazy part is that, like, as somebody who, like, I, again, definitely on the novice side of doing truck builds, but, in my realm of people that I kinda am around and with, is that there is that very large, range of people who are very, very respectful of what our industry is and really do work hard to advocate for it, and then there's those that are, they're still young and they just don't know quite where they fit in or what they want to do or how they want to, participate. So they make really impulsive, bad decisions in the moment because they are really susceptible to peer pressure, right? So I'll give you an example. Like, couple of years ago, I was going to a truck meet and a big group of us went. Well, there was 3 or 4 trucks that were kind of like in the lead of where we were going, and all of them, like, people behind them slowed down on the highway. And all 4 of those lead trucks started doing burnouts and donuts on the highway, like blocked the highway off and was like doing, and I was like, okay, hold on a second. So as soon as we got to where we were going, I was like, I'm done. Like, I don't want to be associated with you guys. Like, if that is your solution to having a good time and representing for our industry, I don't want a part of it because that's not what I know this industry is about. But it does take somebody who is willing to stand up and advocate for our industry and be strong-headed about it, because there's so many of those kids that are willing to just like, oh, you just don't know how to have fun, you don't, and I'm like, no, this is way bigger than what you think it is.
Yep. Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. So we need more people to activate their voices in those situations for sure. Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm excited though on the to see more young people. We went to a coffee. Keith and I, one of my team members, went to a coffee and cars in Buffalo. It's one of the biggest in our area. There was so many kids at that show walking around checking out the cars, and there was everything there from rat rods up to Lamborghinis, right? So
Mhm.
that was cool. So there's a lot of young people very interested. We just Wednesday, stopped by their local tech school that we're supporting. They're building the drag and drive car, but we handed out a bunch of shirts from AMD to all the kids, and they were very thankful. And they're junior and high school students. It was really cool to do that. I think also with the youth, we need to get more businesses need to get involved with internships and training. And also, Keith didn't do it this year, but for 2 or 3 years, he's been part of the SEMA scholarship selection committee. He's done that for me and represent Motorhead Digital. But I want to shift to some marketing stuff here, Melanie, because this is a podcast about business marketing and
That's
things like
fair.
that. So, how do influencers and social media fit into your marketing as far as Hellwig goes?
I love them and I want to work with them all the time because I do think, I mean, just personally, I follow influencers and, you know, I do know that some of the people that I follow, I know they're getting paid or they're getting somehow sponsored, right, by
Mhm.
presenting a product. But I also know they're presenting something because they're usually doing that with integrity. That it's something that they actually do love and use and think is a good product too. And frankly, like, I don't have the time to go figure out what's the best. I don't want to. So it's like that fast track. So even I was seeing myself like really follow advice from influencers. And so I love working with them.
Today's podcast is sponsored by Motorhead Digital. Motorhead Digital are digital marketing experts for your automotive aftermarket, restoration, performance, race, and restyling shop. They help you supercharge your shop's website, social media, and entire online presence to attract those badass customers you're looking for. Check us out at motorheaddigital.com.
And our product is it makes such a difference that I don't have to, if you use my product, I know you're going to be able to say like it does a great thing. And so I love that opportunity. So, we've sponsored product for influencers, and then, worked with them on different like videos. I'm really excited. We're going to have Chris Fix's vehicle in our booth at the SEMA Show. And he has some of our product on as well. And we'll be handing out some pins and doing some fun stuff there. So I just think that influencers, I love it because it's like real people doing really cool stuff that we all want to do, right? It's all who we look up to. But it's not just this, it's not unattainable. It's something that just feels authentic. And even though, right, we all kind of know there's things that happen behind the scenes for them to be successful, but they have to be able to, get sponsored product, get sponsorships and things like that to be able to continue to do that as well. So yeah, I love it.
Great. Yeah, and I don't consider myself an influencer, but Hellwig supported us with a sway bar for the back of my Rebel, lifted Rebel. It's a mini lift. I know. I'm not. It's not a real lift. Anyways, so we did some videos and showed an install and what the factory sway bar was and did all that. And hopefully you guys were able to use that. But when you talked about influencers, sometimes there's a negative connotation. People don't understand that. What is an influencer? Why would a business connect with an influencer for their marketing and things like that?
Yeah. I know that there's a negative connotation, but I've been really confused about why there is, because I think this is something that's just changing in our industry. I think that the negative connotation really has to do with like a lack of understanding in it and a lack of, being of change. People don't really like change. We have this very clear structure, right? With like, magazines, with, how people consumed media. And the way that we consume media is so different that we needed to make these adjustments. And so I think just being curious and open to seeing what the trends are important. So, and I like this one. I think, influencers are going to be the new superstars like in this space. So I'm excited
Well,
about
I mean,
it.
every company, whether you want to believe it, be a part of it, invest in it, whatever, every company, it doesn't matter if we're talking about our industry or any other industry, social media is a part of life and business now, right? Like, I don't know what the statistic is, but I know it's a very high statistic based on the last time that I saw it, of the number of businesses and people who go to social media to do research either on product or services before they actually invest in it, right? So it no longer isn't entirely like, hey, we need to go to their website, although that is a very big part of it. They typically are going to social media first because that's where they're going to get UGC, right? That's where they're going to get user generated content to be able to see what is real, authentic, and their actual use for it, right? So how can I put myself in their shoes? How can I see myself using that product or service? And how is that going to help me, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's a fine line too, right? And that people learn on social media, and when they get serious and go, I need that, then they go over to the website. So you still have to have, besides a quality social media presence, you still have to have quality presence on website, because that's when people start getting serious, right? How do I contact them?
Absolutely.
Let me more information about the product, like specs and things like that. So because there's been a lot of people telling us, oh, I don't need a website anymore. Yeah, you do. So it all kind of melds together. Melanie, if you were to like rebuild Hellwig's marketing and how you market from scratch, what would you do different? Maybe nothing. Maybe you're spot on. I'm just curious.
Yeah. So if I took an Excel sketch, right, and just cleared that, and how would I do it differently?
Shake it up, right?
Yeah, shake it up for sure. You know, I don't know that I would do things too differently. I think one of the things is I would just be more open to the changes in the marketplace sooner. I think we're even just I saw with magazines and to the digital space, we were a little bit slow to that. And I think it's hard. We're a legacy brand, so we've seen things come and go. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing this for 20 years now. So I've seen things come and go. I've seen things that are going to be hot, but maybe they don't turn hot. Right. So there's an element where I think we were a little bit slow to get on board with some of these changes. And I don't know that I would do that differently because we do have some history there to be able to see that things ebb and flow. But just getting on board with things once we see the trend and jumping in, I think is the key. And sometimes we're a little slow to do that, but we're catching up.
Just not to hesitate, right?
Yep.
Cool. Um, you have a lot on your plate being a CEO, having a youngster going into college here soon, right? And then being the chairman of the board for SEMA. What do you do to recharge? What do you do to like just kind of get away from it all and things like that? I'm just curious because I don't know how you even have time to sleep.
Well, I have a really good partner. So my husband's very supportive. My kiddo is going to start driving, and he's been counting the days, and we're in the 20s right now. And so that's going to free up a lot of time for me. I've been really loving driving him to school, and spending time in the car is, our best time together because he's super busy with his life too, my son. So I'm kind of holding on. And yeah, I hope he passes his driver's test, but I won't be sad if he doesn't because I'll get a little bit more time with him. But to recharge, I do. I am really connected with my family. So we do a family dinner every Sunday night. And so I'm really close with my sister and her kids. And then my parents, my grandma, who's 93, still comes to the family dinner. So that's something that's like foundational, a part of my week that feels really rejuvenating. And, helps ground me too. And to like, this is, my roots here. But I love spending time in nature. So I think that's a big thing. I'm going to be in Big Bear this weekend. And I'm excited to get the opportunity to be in nature. My husband and I have a goal of seeing all of the national parks. Cause I think the US just has so many beautiful places and just, I feel like those are magical. So, I love being a part of those as well.
That's awesome. And I'd like to hear the family dinner. We used to do that until COVID killed it. And then, unfortunately, my wife's mother used to always cook and everything. And I think we think that affected her. She's got dementia now, but that was great. We came together, my wife, her sister-in-law, and their family every Sunday. It was a ritual for years. And so I don't see a lot of people doing that, but I think they should because it's important.
Yeah. And honestly, when I had a friend that did it with her family, and my grandma at the time was in her late 80s, and it was a way, my grandpa had just passed away. She just had moved in and was for the first time in, gosh, like 70 something years, she was living on her own. So it was this, I had a friend that was doing it with her family, and I said, why don't we do this? It'll be a way that we all see grandma every week. And then and it'll be something for her, right? Like every week it would, Sunday night we do that. So it kind of, her week
Keeps her
would kind of
going, right?
revolve around that. Yeah. And then it turned out to be something amazing for us and our relationships too. My sister and her husband had just moved here, and I didn't know him that well, but now, we spend every Sunday together. I get to find out what he's doing, cool things he's doing at work. I get to find out like his hobbies. Same with my nieces and nephews. That has just been awesome. And when I was like, even with my mom, I was like, Mom, I think we should do this. And she was like, every Sunday. And I'm like, if you can't make it every Sunday, it's fine. And so she was one that kind of pushed back. Why don't we just do it once a month? And I think that'll be too hard on, and it really was around my grandma. I think it'll be too hard on her in her late 80s to like, oh wait, is this the Sunday that's happening? Right. And so we did it for her. It ended up being really good for us. And my mom constantly is like, I'm so glad you pushed me to do this every week. And we all take turns hosting. So I'll host a dinner. My sister will host a dinner. My parents will host a dinner. My parents host most of the dinners, but we help every once in a while.
Yeah, wow.
I love
That's
that. I
awesome.
think
I love to hear
exactly what you said. Like, it's a good opportunity to ground you, right? To have that reset and not just get ready for a new week and whatever is coming forth, but to really kind of reflect on what we have, right? Because at the end of the day, even though we spend such a huge amount of time at work with the people that we spend, that time with or we work with, but our family is what is there when that is gone, right? Like, and I don't necessarily mean like you're not working anymore. I just mean like at the end of the day, like your family is who's always there to support you, and having that opportunity to ground with them and just reconnect, I think is very valuable.
Yeah. Yeah. And we do something called our high lows. So it's something that we also do. So it's the best part of your week and the worst part of your week. And you're not really allowed to bring something real bad to the worst part. We don't want too many, big bummers there. But it is a way to, see what people are doing. But even for me, it's like, what is my high? What is my low of this week?
Right.
So that it's a way for us all to learn about each other, but also like just highlight, I think anytime you're highlighting like what happened is
Yeah,
is
you're
something
Celebrate
good.
reflecting
the
on your
win.
yeah, you're
Hmm.
reflecting on your week, right? And thinking back. Sometimes you just get going and you go on to the next week and the next week
Hmm.
and forget about the past, right? So it's cool to kind of reflect on that. I really enjoyed our family dinners when we were doing them every Sunday and miss that for sure. So I'm
Yeah.
glad you're doing that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love it. I think everybody should do that. So if you're listening, implement that in your family.
Yeah. I know it feels like a lot, but it's really awesome.
But it's worth it.
Yes.
That's awesome. We have absolutely consumed an hour of your time, and we so appreciate you. And we love having you here and sharing all the great things that are happening, not only in your life, but what you're doing with Hellwig and how you're taking on this new challenge with SEMA. We're super excited to see how things move forward with SEMA and with yourself and over the next 2 years. And hopefully, we'll be able to follow that journey with you and see our industry continue to grow and just thrive. But with that being said, we end every podcast with a speed round, and today's speed round is going to be fun. So, I want you to give the response of whatever comes to your mind first. Don't put too much thought into it. But my first question for you is, what is your favorite driver, team, hot rod, muscle car, or truck?
Mm. Oh, I drove a Ford Raptor. That's very much my favorite. Yeah, it was like the love of my life. I changed to a Silverado, a diesel. And I look at the Raptors and it's like the love that got away, right? Like so I love my truck. But the Raptor just, yeah, there's something about it.
Yeah, I saw your post when you got your truck, and I was like, "Yay, welcome to the Chevy world." But
Yeah.
I will say 100% is so, like, the first truck that I did a build on was a Ram 3500. And so I 100% get, like, you having that love for that, like, other vehicle that you had where you're like, "Oh, it was so fun, but now we're onto something different,"
Yeah.
and I don't wanna say better, but different.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. And it's such a good, cool truck. And yeah, the Raptor was my first truck that I ever owned myself.
Yeah.
And so I think there's something to that. Yeah, the first.
100%. All right. This one is going to be a broader question. We actually spent a lot of time talking to restoration shops and fab shops and all that. So this one you might have to kind of cue a little bit different. And that is, what is your favorite tool in your toolbox?
Ooh, the favorite tool in my toolbox. For me, it's my phone. It's I can take video, I'm sharing social posts, like all of that. So like that is my favorite tool.
Yeah. Connection to the world.
It is.
Understandable. Do you have a favorite racetrack, event, or car show?
We spend a lot of time in the desert. So I love like off-road racing part, but I really love Moab. I love like just any opportunity where we're getting outside and challenging our vehicles. So yeah, Moab Easter Jeep Safari has been a real favorite for me.
Very cool. I love it. Nice. And then this is the last question that I have for you. This one stumps a great number of the people that we ask. So just kind of think of it that way. What is the best advice you've ever received and from whom?
So the advice comes up all the time, right? If you would have asked me a year ago, it would have been different. 10 years ago, it would have been different. So it's just whatever right now. But I think the best advice I received recently was from Norris Marshall. So he's the chair-elect from Blueprint Engines. And his encouragement was, don't follow all the business books. Do it your way. You know your business better than anyone else. Just do it how you're going to do it. And that advice can kind of guide you. But it might not make sense to someone else. Someone might advise you to do something differently, but no one knows it. No one loves it like you do. And so don't be afraid to do it your way. And that has been something that, because sometimes it's unconventional. Sometimes it's, doesn't really make sense to do it a certain way. And it's like, I love my business more than anyone else, and someone might advise me differently, but this is what I'm going to do. And I'm the one that has to suffer the consequences, no one else. So do it my way.
That's great advice.
You got to own it, and you got to just go forward with it.
Yep.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Well, Melanie, thanks for joining us. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Melanie, tell people how they can find you, where you live online and all that stuff.
Yeah. So me personally, I'm on LinkedIn. So Melanie Hellwig White. And I post a lot about Hellwig and industry and my almost 16-year-old driving. And then, so Hellwig is, we have our website, hellwigproducts.com. We're on Instagram, Hellwig Products, and then also Facebook, Hellwig Products. And then YouTube, also under Hellwig Products.
Nice.
Pretty easy to find then. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Makes it easy.
It'd be easy for anyone. Awesome.
Yeah. I grew up with the last name Hellwig, and I thought, gosh, because, people would make fun of, kids can make fun of everything. But the cool thing is that Hellwig isn't that, is kind of an uncommon name. So we show up a lot of places. So.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us again. And if anybody wants to learn about Hellwig products, Melanie just gave you just search for Hellwig. They'll show up everywhere.
Everywhere. Thank you so much for joining us at Gearheads and Gasoline Pod. And we're here always fueling your success.
We know you don't want to miss an episode, so don't forget to smash that bell so that you get notified of every new episode. Click that like button, leave us a comment, and share with your people. And visit us repeatedly. We love it.